Hello, welcome to Africa. This week, I'm Abubakar Sadiq Ibrahim. In today's episode, we are going to discuss the presidential elections this year in Nigeria, a National Assembly. And our focus today is NADECO, that is the National Democratic Coalitions, a group in the United States. The Saturday, February 25th, 2023 presidential and National Assembly elections have been described as the worst election in Nigeria democratic history. The election conducted by the Nigeria Electoral Umpire, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, and its chairman, Professor Mahmoud Yakub, have been at the receiving end of the democratic exercise. The contest, which saw the former governor of Lagos State, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, president-elect, drew criticism from home and abroad. The local and foreign election observers were not left out in the process. Like other critics of the unfortunate sad national political event in Nigeria, National Democratic Coalitions, NADECO, America has been following the flawed political process in the country. The only difference between the group and other political observers is that they are Nigerians who fled Nigeria for safety during the military regime, General Sani Abacha, a non-political movement, but a political pressure group which the President-elect Senator Ahmed Bola Tinubu was once one of the founding fathers of the group. Wednesday, March 8, 2023, a World Press Conference was held at the National Press Club building in Washington, D.C., the United States capital state, to ventilate their angers and dismay at the emerging political trends in Nigeria. The Executive Director, Mr. Lloyd Oku, and the General Counsel, W. Bruce Delbel, speak on the background and the memorandum performances of NADECO.
We are here to express our feelings and position on the last Nigerian presidential election. You guys all witnessed what transpired there. NADECO is a non-partisan group. Our interest is to make sure that democracy thrives in Nigeria. We are interested in the process purely. We are not interested in who comes up through a good process. Nigerians have a right to choose whoever they want, but let that choice be through the process. So we are here today to address our position and let the international community know where we stand on this issue. I'll be calling on the Executive Director of NADECO to express our stand. Lloyd Uku, please.
Thank you. Members of NADECO here present, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, gentlemen of the press, I bring you greetings on behalf of NADECO and the people of Nigeria. NADECO welcomes you to the first of its series of events planned over the next several weeks regarding the recently held presidential election in Nigeria. For those who are not quite familiar with NADECO, I'll give you a little bit about the group. The National Democratic Coalition, for short, NADECO, is Nigeria's premier and foremost pro-democracy group based here in Washington, D.C. It was initially registered in Nigeria in 1994 by a group of very prominent politicians and pro-democracy campaigners who needed a platform to fight the military regime of the infamous dictator General Sani Abacha after he took power through a military coup in November 1993 and reneged on his promises to hold elections and return Nigeria to democracy, as was its birthright since obtaining freedom from British colonial rule on October 1, 1960. Sorry about that. A broad-based coalition transcending ethnic and religious lines was formed, which later gave birth to NADECO in Nigeria. No sooner had NADECO begun a peaceful resistance against the then military leader, General Sani Abacha, started to assassinate and jail its members. In order to save their lives, several of NADECO members fled into exile to neighboring African countries, the United Kingdom, United States, and Canada. In 1995, those NADECO members who fled from Nigeria got together and registered a new NADECO in the United States. Since 1995, when NADECO was registered here in the US, it has continued to push for good governance and credible
States, and indeed of the West, especially given the insecurity in the world today with issues relating to extremism and energy shortages. Don't you think that this is a nation that the world should readily leap to the fore to protect, to ensure the well-being so it can continue on its pathway to greatness? Yeah, we're talking about Nigeria, the largest nation in Africa. It is the wealthiest nation in Africa, and yet it's the poorest country in the world. Nigeria now has more people living below the poverty line than any other nation in the world, which is a remarkable feat, given that there are 234 million people in Nigeria and approximately 1.4 billion people in India, the former dubious leader of world's poverty. How can we let that happen? How can we turn our back? How is that possible? Nigeria is also the site of the largest genocidal slaughter the world has seen since World War II. And yet nobody wants to talk about it. Nobody wants to do anything about it. I am here very proud to be involved with NADECO because NADECO wants to do something about that.
Government to get it and make it right for us again. Over 20 years past, Nigerians have not voted like they voted this time. Nigerians have not believed. If you ask them, the first thing they tell you is, I don't think my vote is going to count. But this time, they came out because they've suffered so much. They've been through so much that they thought that if it would take just my vote to create this change, I'm going to participate in this process. And here we are talking about this today. That the entire process was not just rigged, but was a complete violation by those who were supposed to ensure that we have an election that puts the people that Nigerians have decided to lead them, whether for good or bad. So today I stand here with NADECO and every other parties that are involved, not just to make these comments to let Nigerians know that we are aggrieved, but to let them know that we have come out to ensure that this process doesn't stand.
Agitations and counter-accusation continue to trail the Nigerian political events. The governorship and the House of Assembly slated for March 11 is now postponed to March 18. Join us next week as more African events unfold. I'm Abubakar Sadiq Ibrahim. It's all right. Go and do this.